Hey YouTube, it is me, Ashley, Keller Williams Real Estate in Everett. I am super duper excited about this series that I am going to do. So I'm really talking to my do-it-yourselfers, all right? You know, it's like the holiday season, and yeah, you know, I was just thinking like, you know, how can I help sellers out there get that house sold like either this year or early next year? And I was mostly thinking about sellers that are like, okay, I'm going to take this on and do it myself. I got to be honest with you. I think it would be pretty challenging. And I'm not just like BSing. I think that, you know, probably the most challenging part I would say is like figuring out the contract part. Okay. And we will touch on how to handle that potentially. Okay. But I think figuring out the contracts and, you know, making sure that everything is like really clear for escrow to do what they need to do. But, you know, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So, you know, we're going to kind of cover the main elements. Like, it seems to me that if you're going to try to sell your house on your own, you already have one of the biggest pieces that you need to have, which is you have a lot of passion, right? You have a lot of passion for your property, right? And you're excited about it. And you think like, boom, it's super saleable and somebody's going to want it. All right. So, I mean, you already have one thing like that's super duper important to have. You know, you got to have that like, boom, I'm going to make it happen. So from there, we're going to cover the like actual contents here. We need to talk about pricing. We need to talk about how we're going to present it, right? Because presentation is super duper important. We're going to hit on negotiation, and we're going to talk about how to like close it, right? Like how to actually make it happen. So like once you've kind of presented it, you found your buyer's like, yes, I'll buy it for that price. You know, how do you make it like happen and get it done? All right. So I'm super duper excited. You know, I'll have a couple bonus videos in there. I mean, some of the folks who own houses that are trying to sell it themselves, you know, they may have had, you know, a lot of communication with the real estate, local real estate agents in the area. So, I mean, that could maybe facilitate and make the process a lot easier, honestly. Okay. But yeah, I'm super duper excited about this series. I think, you know, why don't we just go ahead and get right into it? I mean, we're 2 minutes into this video. Let's go ahead and just like talk about pricing. Okay, pricing. All right. So this is going to be kind of a tough deal to sort of figure out, right? Because if you're in an area like I'm in, you know, historic North Everett, the biggest thing that you're kind of up against if you're not in like a planned community is figuring out how to comp your property. Now, you may have been watching the market and you're seeing houses like come on the market near you and sell, but here in North Everett, like basically every house is different. Okay. I mean, now, you know, one could argue, you know, folks that have like a lot of analytical and statistical background, like, you know, there's going to be like a base price, right? Or like, you know, like, or a range, right? Like the houses in this area, you know, they are in some ways the same, right? But when you kind of like get down to like looking at like the specific floor plan, like how many bedrooms it has, does it have bonus spaces, is it multiple levels? I mean, every single version of that sells for something different. Okay, every single version of that sells for something different, which is a challenge. So what I would recommend doing is this. What you want to do is you want to compare your house to other houses that have the same style. Okay, and same style means if you have a 1-story, you're going to compare your house to other 1-stories that have sold. If your house is a 2-story, you're going to look at other 2-stories. If your house is a 1-story with a basement, that's what you're going to compare it to. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do. You need to say, okay, can I go on here and get houses near mine that have this specific style? Okay. And one of the, I mean, a free resource that you could use is you could go to like Zillow, or you could go to Redfin, all right? Because those are the 2 kind of big consumer websites that show all of the like, sort of like sold and pending data. So you can go in there, you can kind of like pull them all out and then get them in a spreadsheet, all right? So yeah, that's how I would do it. So I'd get them in a spreadsheet, and then what you want to do is you want to like, you know, you want to narrow it down, right? So you're going to find your style, you're going to find your number of bedrooms and your number of bathrooms. What I would probably do is I would take probably like one bedroom and one bathroom above and below what you have, because it sort of depends on how many you get. Like if let's say you're looking at 1-story houses and you only get like two houses that are like that in your neighborhood, that's a tough situation, because in areas like this, it's just difficult. If you're in a different area, like if you're in some of these communities where there's like four floor plans or whatever, then what you need to do is you need to find like 5 or 6 houses that have recently sold that are your floor plan. All right, that are your floor plan, and that's going to be like your best comp. Okay, that's going to be your best comp. So after you get your spreadsheet, you're then going to want to like look at the dates that they've sold. Right now in the market, you want to sort of understand like how quickly the market is growing. So if you get a comp that is more than a year old, like probably that comp is not going to be very accurate anymore. Like it's probably going to be on the low end is basically the deal, because the market has changed a lot in 12 months. So when you're kind of looking for your comps, you should tighten up your timeline. Like maybe you start off at like 90 days, like what sold near you in the last 90 days. And if you don't find very many, like expand it to 6 months. And then if you absolutely have to, expand it to a year. And then you would do something different. Like if you had to have a comp that was like a year or more old, you'll do something different. What you're going to have to try to do is you're going to have to try to figure out how quickly the market has grown in that time frame and kind of like extrapolate your price out. So do your comps, take that one comp and sort of say, okay, what would today's value of that comp be, right? Because you're comparing it to your house. And so if you know like, hey, Zillow says the market's grown by 11.3%, maybe you would take that house and you'd increase it by 11.3%, and then you would do all of your other adjustments, okay? So from there, what you will probably end up with is like a range, okay? You're gonna end up with a range. And what I would recommend on your range is, well, it kind of depends, okay? So this is the kind of like art part, right? Like there's science and there's art. So you've done the science part, now it's the art piece, right? So you really need to like look at, is your house going to like have that honest conversation? Is your house going to be like a cream puff? Is it like one of those houses where you just know everybody's going to want to buy it, and the people are going to line up and you're going to get multiple offers? Okay, if you have a cream puff house, I think you could work it 2 ways. All right, I think you could try going in on your high end, or you could take your high end range and just reduce it a little bit, like maybe reduce it by 5%, okay? And sort of see what you get, okay? Yeah, I know there's like always this talk about, well, you don't want to go in too high because then you can never take it back. I mean, I guess there's some truth to that, all right? Like once you're in kind of high, I mean, here's the thing. Most buyers are going to like look at your pricing and be like, this price doesn't make any sense. All right. And then what ends up happening is you get lowball offers, or you don't get any offers. Like no one comes to see your house at all. And look, here's the thing. If you're doing it yourself, you already have some challenges. So you should probably try to like not have pricing be one of your challenges. All right. There's already going to be some challenges ahead of you. Okay. So I mean, my recommendation would be if I were for sale by owning it, I would make my pricing as competitive as possible. Okay. As competitive as possible, because you really want to get those multiple offers. I mean, you don't really want to mess around, because basically what ends up happening then is your house doesn't sell. You can't figure out why it won't sell. And then you end up having to hire an agent anyway. Like it was kind of like a waste, So I would just price super competitively. All right. So that's it for pricing. Okay. That's it for pricing. So the art part is going to kind of be up to you. Like it's going to sort of take you like, looking at your market and sort of like reading it, like looking like, okay, what has sold, what's on the market right now, where am I going to position myself in this market, what's available, like, because, this is like the hard I don't want to say hard, but this is the part that takes your sort of knowledge of the market, right? Because you want to know like where you are. If there's zero inventory, you might do a different price than if there's a ton of inventory, right? So, it's just going to kind of depend, but this is how you kind of get your range. So establish your range and then kind of move from there. All right, so that's pricing for you. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. Like the video and subscribe to my channel. There is going to be more to come. I'm going to do a video every single week for you folks out here that are do-it-yourselfers, okay? The do-it-yourself seller. Anyway, that was that. I don't even know what I'm saying. Thanks. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. See you again soon, YouTube.